Hey everyone, what's going on? Today, on March 3rd, in the mainstream media, one of the major stories was of this missing 11-year-old Alabama girl and how she was found dead. And if you notice, there's other stories that came about in regards to Alabama within the day as well. We had this tornadoes that killed people in Alabama. We also had a story of the Bloody Sunday reenactment that was in Alabama. And I'm going to focus a lot more on this story right here, this missing 11-year-old girl. But if you're new to what I talk about on this channel, I talk about how the world that we live in is all coded with mathematics, and if you understand ancient knowledge things, you can understand the way this world truly works. And every day, our mainstream media is scripted with what is called Gematria or Gematria. It's the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. Celebrities die by this code. Every time a celebrity dies, it's by this code. Our sports leagues are scripted with this. Our told history is scripted with this. And the people who control our media and control our sports leagues, they understand this ancient knowledge. And not only do they give us stories that aren't real a lot of the times, they do give us real stories about real things that are going on. And the reason that they do this is because they're using this to, manipulate our minds with signs and symbols and this code that exists. They know how to manipulate the frequency, the vibration, the energy that goes on in the world. And they're essentially playing God over the rest of the world by putting certain stories in the media at certain times, Like, for example, think about how many missing people, missing kids even, for that, happens every single day. So why are we getting a story about this missing Alabama girl being popularized in the mainstream media? Everything that comes through the mainstream media is put here for a certain reason because people understand the way that the world truly works. And like I said, they're using it to rule over us. So that being said, what is important? You can check out some links in the description to learn how to apply this. But what is important is that this girl is 11 years old. Just the other day, I made a video. We had a story about this Alabama newspaper editor and how he said the Klan should ride again. And within this post, I even talked about how the number 11 was important because in Gematria, if you write out the word Klan, it equals 11. And just think about the KKK, right? K is the 11th letter, so 11, 11, 11. 33, interesting with the stories coming out today even, but the 11th letter, the 11th prime number is 31. And if you write out Alabama in Gematria, it equals 31. And the story was in Linden, Alabama. That's the town. Linden also equals 31. And this guy was born on the 31st day of the year. And the newspaper was just so happened to be founded in the year 11. Oh, the odds, right? The year 11. The lady who replaced him, her last name was Dexter, that equals 31. The 11th prime number. He wanted to go kill the people in DC. DC equals 11 in Gematria. So, just want to get the point across. I just talked about how 11 was important to Alabama, and now just a few days later, we're getting a story of this girl dying at the age of 11, and she's from Alabama. And what's so interesting is, right away, what day does she go missing? She went missing on Friday, the date of 3/1/31. Remember, 11, the 11th prime is 31. Alabama and Gematria equals 31. She went missing on 3/1. The CNN article even tells us how she was a resident of Mount Vernon, and they told their affiliate, Way 31, this is how they do it. WAAY 31. They had to report that. This girl's name in Gematria, her name is Amberly. Amberly equals 31 in Gematria. And her name also equals 41, which is important, because if you write out Alabama, it equals 31, but the small way it equals 13. And the 13th prime number is 41. So Amberly equals 31, and also 41, both important to Alabama, both important to what I'm talking about here. They also told us that it was unusual, so she was at her aunt's house, and her aunt's, I can't remember what the guy was, but there was a guy there that was supposed to be watching her or something. She was at her aunt's house, and then this green SUV pulled up, and then she went missing, and they said it was odd that she left her phone there because she takes her phone everywhere and whatnot. That's what this article talks about. Well, notice what the word phone is in Gematria. Phone equals 31. What are the odds of this? Phone equals 31. They also said that it was a green SUV, the color green. Green equals 31 even. So even the color of the car was important. They make sure to let us know she forgot her phone. Let me find my thing back. She even went missing from her aunt's house. Her aunt's house, look at the word aunt. Aunt equals 11, right? The 11th prime is 31. All synced up to Alabama. So I shouldn't laugh because I'm pretty sure this story is real and this girl really did die. So, but I'm laughing because of the ridiculousness of how this story is coded. You know what I mean? They do this constantly. The sheriff in the story, his name is Nick Weldon. That equals 53. And if you read out Mount Vernon, Alabama, it equals 53. It was in the Mount Vernon community. It's not necessarily a real town, but just interesting. Mount Vernon, Alabama even equals 53. Just like the sheriff's name. If you write out 31 as words, it equals 53. And I also found it interesting that this story, she went missing 53 days after Alabama lost to Clemson in the sports championship, right? The college football sports championship, when that Clemson was leading with 31 points at the half, and it was the biggest loss that Alabama had lost by since 1998 when they lost by 31 in the Music City Bowl. And Alabama has just been, all of their championships and whatnot have all been coded with this. In 2018, Alabama came back and beat Georgia when they were down 13-0 at half. Remember, Alabama equals 13. In 2017, when they lost to Clemson, Alabama scored 31 points in that loss, and Alabama's quarterback even was 13 of 31 on his passes, and the game was won because of the Clemson guy named Hunter Renfrow, who's number 13, caught the winning touchdown pass, right? Number 13. In 2016, Alabama beat Clemson on the 11th day. So there's just all kinds of stuff I've documented over the years with Alabama's sports championships, how it's synced up to these same numbers. Even if you write out Mount Vernon, it equals 41, right? Just like Amberly, where they said she's from, which is the 13th prime number, just like how Alabama also equals 13. It's even interesting, too, in regards to her being 11. If you look at the map of where this happened, it's even pretty close to, like, the main highway here that's Highway 11, even. There's not any other main highways it doesn't look like. Highway 11 right here, so pretty interesting. Also, in regards to there being all these tornadoes and whatnot, earlier in the day, I documented how I looked up this county that it was in, DeKalb County, and on the Wikipedia page, it mentions how it saw one of the highest death tolls in Alabama during a massive tornadic system in April of the year 2011, and it killed 31 people. What are the odds of that? These tornadoes killed 31 people in the year 11. The 11th prime is 31. And then today we also get a bunch of deaths in Alabama synced up to tornadoes, And what's today? Today is 3/3. Look what the word tornado equals in Gematria. Tornado equals 33. That's why we got a story of tornadoes killing a bunch of people in Alabama. Originally, they said it was 14 people, but now I see on CNN it's went up. It's at least 23. I wonder if it's going to stop at 31 when they keep going up here. So we'll see what happens. To add even more to all this, there was a heavy.com article that tells you the 5 things that you need to know about this. And within it, they talked about how on this girl's Instagram, she had a comment that said, "Life is so fragile." And this girl does have multiple Instagram accounts, but it's interesting. The one they mention on this mainstream media article is one that when you go to, she has 11 posts. Like, what are the odds of that? 11 posts. And her name's Amberly Cookie. And remember, Amberly equals 31. If you write out the word cookie, cookie also equals 31. Cookie equals 31. Amberly equals 31. She has 11 posts on this one, and it's also the one that had the most followers and everything else. So it must be the main one that she used. And, what are the odds of that? And what is an 11-year-old girl writing "Life is so fragile" for? It just seems a little strange, doesn't it? Life is so fragile. I don't know. Possibly not. Maybe somebody recently died in her family or something of the sort, and that's why she wrote that on there. But it just seems strange. It's kind of like the Molly Tibbet story where she talked about on her Twitter how this cop followed her because he thought she was a missing person like a year before she went missing, and she looked like some other girl, right, and wearing pink and whatnot, and then a year later she just goes missing and whatnot. What are the odds? It seems a little strange that she would even write that the cop thought she was a missing person, then less than a year later she goes missing, coded by the numbers. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. There's a lot to do with the color pink as well. But anyway, we got these other stories today. Then we got a story of the tornadoes in Alabama, and originally they said 14 people were dead. I knew it would probably go up, but the reason it was 14 is because if you write out 14 as words, it equals 41, which is the 13th prime number, and Alabama equals 13. And the county that it's in is Lee. Lee equals 13, and also 14 in reverse reduced. So 13 and 14, perfect county for it to happen in, connected to Alabama. This Bloody Sunday story, it was all about look at this, the march in Selma, Alabama, right? If you write out Selma equals 14 and 31, just like Alabama. The guy who originally called for this march back in 1965, his name was James Bevel. And the reason that's interesting is because his name equals 31 in Gematria. His name also equals 59, just like when you write out Bloody Sunday. Just like this number 59 is really important to black people and how it's been negatively stamped on black people all throughout history. Even the Civil War, we are told, came to an end on May 9th, 5-9. The Civil War began 59 days after Abraham Lincoln's birthday. Negro equals 59, slave equals 59, blues equals 59. Motown Records came out in 59. That's why Rodney King equals 59. There's just so many other examples. AIDS supposedly came out in the Belgian Congo, or HIV, in the year 59. That's why Booker T. Washington died at the age of 59, and his name equals 59. And we had an Eli Whitney equals 59, and John Brown from Harper's Ferry Raid, he died at age 59 on 5-9 in the year 59. All throughout history, this number 59 is coded around Black history, right? Black History Month even normally ends on the 59th day of the year. So, just interesting. They call it Bloody Sunday. A billion examples of famous people, black people who have this number of Gematria, 59. So, there's some other interesting things that are going on. I looked at her mom's Facebook, this girl's mom's Facebook, and you know, possibly nothing, but the day before this girl went missing, her mom posted about how she watched the movie Bad Moms, and Bad Moms equals 31 in Gematria, and just think about how that kind of plays in. There's even some guy on there who was talking crap or whatever, saying she should delete that post because, her daughter went missing and it's the movie Bad Moms, right? But Bad Moms equals 31 in Gematria. She also had this thing with her dad, and I noticed her dad's name was John Wayne Barnett. And if you've been following what I've talked about, recently I've talked about Lorena Bobbitt and John Wayne Bobbitt, and then John Wayne was just in the mainstream media about making racist comments or whatever in an interview from way back in the day. So John Wayne, like the country guy. Then we had a story that was connected to John Wayne Bobbitt. It's just interesting. I see this girl's dad is named John Wayne. So I don't know. I haven't figured out the riddle with that yet. But John Wayne, the cowboy guy, his real name was Marion Mitchell Morrison, MMM, which is the 13th letter, right? Once again, maybe connecting to Alabama. That's how all of this works, If you pay attention to the media and you pay attention to how all of these stories have an interrelatedness, you can figure out what is to come. You can figure out who is going to be in the sports championships. You can figure out, when false flag events are coming up, you know what I mean? You can just have a better understanding of the world that we live in. Even good things. You can figure out if, something good is going to happen, because if you understand how this works, you can just understand the world. I'm still learning. I don't know how to do it all, but I'm absolutely positive that there are people in this world who understand this and are doing this. And that being said, I would assume that the mother of this girl would also understand, because when you look at her Facebook, it says that she is also a empath. And when you look up what an empath is, you find out that it's basically these people who are really in tune with nature and really in tune with other people, and how they can feel the emotions of other people, right? And it explains how it works on this website here, and it talks about how everything has an energetic vibration or frequency, and an empath is able to sense these vibrations. They can even recognize the subtlest changes, blah, 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 Exactly what I'm talking about. So her mother claims to be an empath, somebody who can pick up on these energetic vibrations and frequencies and feel what other people are feeling. It can change her mood because of somebody else feeling bad or good. And it's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why they chose this story and put it in the mainstream media at this certain time, because, you know, signs and letters and symbols and whatever else, they carry a vibration. That's all what Hermeticism is about. And even in this, they even mention how, for example, hate often brings about an intense feeling that immediately accompanies the word. The word hate becomes strengthened when the speaker's feelings, right? So they're just talking about how a word can change the vibration and change the way someone feels. And just think about all of these negative stories that the media constantly puts into your face and whatever else. They understand how to change this energy for the majority of the world, and they just constantly, continually use this, and they put stories, real or fake, in front of us to control the way that we feel and control the way that we think, and it's all coded by this system that exists all around us. So we'll leave the video there. We'll see what comes of it. I want to see this girl's obituary, because somewhere on here she said her birthday was in April, but I can't seem to find the exact date. I just wonder if it's 4/1, which would be 31 days after the day that she went missing on 3/1, would be super fitting, but possibly it isn't. Possibly it's some other date in April. And maybe that's why they're not letting us know, letting us, because it doesn't fit with what they want us to feel and see with these vibrations, right? And, it doesn't surprise me if they just randomly pick and chose some person and they went and picked this girl up and murdered her, right? It wouldn't surprise me, and then they can just make it up and say that some random other guy killed her, even though it might not really be that person, but these people control everything, so they can just do that, you know what I mean? And it just wouldn't surprise me. They have, think about the band The Police that has a song called Murder by Numbers. 1, 2, 3. It's as easy as your ABCs, and they talk about an elite club that kills people by the numbers. And the song Gematria, the killing name by the band Slipknot, right? Why do they have a song called that? Why, when someone dies, do they say, I guess his number was just up, right? It's because the system exists, and there are people who murder people at certain times because it manipulates the way that this world works, and they understand this. So I guess we're leaving it at that again. So have a good one. Peace.